Toronto Raptors cruise to a win over the New York Knicks, 120-105. I'm Randy Urban, and this is Raptors Night Cap. Tonight, we're joined by Leo Rautins, Sherman Hamilton, and Jack Armstrong. Sherman, I'm going to start with you. Tonight was the first time this season the Raptors had their top 8 players suit up. How did the chemistry look to you?
It looked fine to me, especially when you saw the different parts of the game where each of these guys took their piece and kind of took control. So, you just can't underestimate or undervalue what it means to have your key guys back and have your rotation set and then have the ability to implement the different lineups that you want to implement. And I think that's something that might have been overlooked a little bit, considering that the Raptors have been a team so far this season that has played with significant pieces not there. But I thought you could tell. You could see the calmness. You understood that they knew how to get it done. And, when their leaders needed to step up and pull this thing along, they did what they did. But not only for the leaders, it also puts everybody into their place in terms of guys in their pecking order and their roles coming off the bench as well. So it's just a good settling feeling. And watching them play against the Knicks, you just saw a calmness, a professional approach, an understanding of how to go about it based on who's in the lineup. And that's something we haven't seen for a while.
Leo, what were your feelings seeing everybody out there and contributing the way they can?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of exciting when you think about it in a couple of terms. Number one, just as Sherb said, just to have everybody back is great, right? Now guys can settle in the roles. And I thought, what you want to do is play off of your defense as much as you can until everybody gets comfortable and everybody gets their rhythm. And they were able to do that, right? We're seeing how good defensively they can be when they really lock in. But the great thing is when you look at where the Raptors are sitting right now. They held their own, right? They took care of business with health and safety protocols, injuries, guys being out, whatever. They held their own, and now they're in a real good position, and in some ways rested. Sometimes injuries aren't the worst thing in the world as long as they're not bad injuries, health and safety protocols, as long as you weren't really sick. So now they're in a situation where rested, together, not sunk way down in the standings. They got an opportunity to have a little fun, get on a little bit of a roll, and make a little splash in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. Jack, your impressions?
Well, my impressions are very consistent with what Sherman Leo said, and I would just add that it's going to be really important for the bench, those second unit guys to come in and play and just give a little pop, give a little productivity. I thought Chris Boucher came in today and his minutes cut back a little bit, played pretty well. And, that's going to be big. The Mihailuks of the world and the Watanabes and those kind of guys, Kem Birch, because the more they're able to kind of come in and just do their thing when they play, the less you have to extend a Fred VanVleet, a guy like Pascal Siakam or an OG Anunoby. And, Gary Trent was in foul trouble the whole game today. So to me, I'm encouraged that they really didn't get a lot out of him. And you can get a lot more out of him. And I think when he gets back on track, it's really intriguing what they can do. They have a lot of options. And I just want to see a 10, 12 game stretch where hopefully they can be healthy and kind of get a better sense of who they are, what their strengths are, and what their weaknesses are, and be able to build from there.
Yeah. Sure. In your first answer, you mentioned the leaders stepping up and being able to do what they can do. And Fred obviously was that guy again tonight. How was he able to expose the Knicks defense?
Well, I just think Fred just does a masterful job of really feeling the pulse of the team and understanding how to navigate offense, who needs to get the ball when. And we saw it. Third quarter for the Raptors is an area where there's been some concern. But Fred came out and just kind of took the game by the horns and said, I'm just going to control this. And I never get the feel when Fred is scoring like that he's taken away from anybody else's offense on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting balance to be able to strike. And he does it really well as a point guard. But again, understanding what his team needed, understanding the importance of taking care of a team that is down some players and really give them no feeling or idea that they can stay in that game. It's the first few minutes out of that third quarter and dominate the rest of that quarter. And Fred was able to do that with his team. So I just think that Fred he has such a balanced approach. I mean, he's scoring the ball and he's making plays for his teammates. He's rebounding. He's doing everything he wants. And then on the defensive end, he's doing more than hold his own. So he just loved the balance that he's approaching the games with, and coming back looking fairly ready to compete at a high level, as if he didn't really miss much time.
Hey, Sherm, to your point that you mentioned that when he has a big game like that, it didn't take away from anybody else. I mean, how many guys you look around the league that put up big numbers, and what's their team record when they do?
Yeah, absolutely.
When Fred puts up big numbers, the Raptors win. So that means it's exactly a testament to what you just said. It doesn't take away from others. He's doing what he has to do at the right time, and it works for this team.
Mm-hmm. Leo, let's expand on the defense that Sherm touched on a little bit more. Just as a whole, what did you like about the Raptors team D?
Well, they really work together, right? I think you got guys who can guard multiple positions. They can switch. They can be active. They can be aggressive. You can see, sometimes they get a little careless, or sometimes they give up some offensive rebounds that they've got to do a better job of. But again, some of that's your opponent. But they're a team that shows me that when they really say, okay, we're going in, we're locking in right now, we're going to come after you. They can be really good at that end of the floor. And that takes so much pressure off at the other end, trying to create shots or trying to have them play in a half court. So the better they can be and continue to get better at the defensive end, like I said, it could be a really interesting second half of the season.
Jack, let's talk about Pascal Siakam. He's been playing some of his best basketball of late. What's your favorite part of his game right now?
The pace he's playing at. I just think he's kind of letting the game breathe a little bit. He's not forcing anything. He's really kind of playing a little cat and mouse with the defense, sometimes kind of luring the second defender to him. Sometimes the third defender. He threw a great pass to Precious Achiuwa for a dunk today. And I just think there's balance in his game between scoring, playmaking, and then obviously he's been going to get it on the glass. So I think overall you got to be super pleased with what you're seeing from him since he's come back. And again, I think the better talent that's around him, I think he's a tough cover in this league, single coverage, because he's so quick. He's got that explosive step to the basket. And his passing has gotten better, that when he sees a second guy and the supporting cast is around him, it's going to help his assist number because those guys can now make plays. And again, I make the point, Gary Trent was quiet. You know that some of the balls that find Gary Trent when he settles down and isn't in foul trouble and he's back playing again, he's going to make some of those shots. They're going to turn into assists.
And just to tag on to what Jack said, I mean, Pascal is playing, as Jack said, within himself. He's just allowing it to come to him. And I think Nick is doing a very good job. I thought against the Clippers, Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam had this two-man game that was rolling, and they just continued to beat the Clippers head in with that play and didn't change it until they had to. We saw in the third quarter again, Pascal was getting that switch, having Evan Fournier on him, and he was just downhill in attack mode and scoring. And they just keep on running and keeping it simple, and getting a guy reps like that just creates confidence. And then to your point, Jack, they send that second defender. He finds a corner for a wide open shot for Scotty Barnes. So I just think that what we're seeing from Pascal is an understanding of his rhythm, his timing, but also his touch, and the play calling is matching up very well. So Nick Nurse has a very good feel on what's happening with a guy like Pascal right now.
Well, sure. He's in my mind, he's being, like you guys said, assertive without forcing it. And you and Leo can both attest to this as former players. That's a hard balance to strike.
Well, it is. And I think, the good thing about it is this comes down to Fred's leadership as well. He understands who needs to get the ball, where they need to get it, and when they need to get it. And one thing Pascal has is a lot of trust in Fred VanVleet's ability to set the table. And that takes that pressure off of you, feeling like you got to get a bit hungry and get sticky with the basketball, because you're going to get your opportunities. And for Pascal, knowing he's a big part of this team, knowing that his offense has to be there, but not force it, not take away, it's something that Fred VanVleet, I feel, really, really helps him in that area. So it's great to see. And to your point, Randy, he struck the balance. He doesn't look too hungry. He doesn't look too grippy on the basketball. He's letting it go. He's making his plays. And when he's not, he's moving the ball and he's making teammates better.
You know what, Sherm, you know what that looks like to me? Looks like a guy that's confident and a guy that's healthy. And you know, like he hasn't been in that situation in a while. So now we're seeing, you know, him just like not force, just play. He's not looking for calls. He's looking for plays, right? That's one thing that's jumped out at me. Like he's not screaming and yelling every time he goes to the basket. He's going to finish. He's going to score. As a result, you know, there's a lot of great things happening, but that's a guy that's playing with confidence.
We touched on it a little bit, Jack. Where do you think this team is right now then with them fully healthy? What kind of team do we have here?
You know, your guess is as good as mine. But I do think that based upon what I've seen.
Jack, your guess is way better than Randy's. Way better.
I knew it was coming.
I think this could be a good team. I really do. I mean, I've made this point, I think, twice already. Like, we didn't really see a whole lot from Gary Trent today. I think they can be, you know, I think they got 10 guys that are good players. I think their top 6, 7 are very good. I think the way they want to play defensively, their point of emphasis there. They have guys that have won 2. You know, the core group of OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Fred VanVleet. Those guys have championship rings. They know what winning's like. So I think they've kind of weathered the storm a little bit. And I think this team, honestly, could go on a roll here. I really do. And, you know, it would be nice if they had a fan base, and it's unfortunate, but I totally respect and understand why they're, you know, we can't have them in here right now because this joint would be absolutely rocking with that group. And let's hope sooner rather than later that's the case, because based upon what I'm seeing, I think this group can be really entertaining and a team I think that folks across Canada can fall in love with.
Absolutely, Jack. But let's do real quick a little overtime here. Sherm, DeMar DeRozan had the back-to-back game-winning shots to beat the Pacers and then the Wizards. Just your reaction to that, because this is the first time this has happened. Think of all the games that have happened in the NBA. This has never happened before.
Yeah, you know, we all have interacted with DeMar and understand who he was when he got here as a Raptor, who he left as, and how much he's improved since he's left when he went to San Antonio. And to see him in Chicago now and doing what he's doing, you just kind of feel good about it. You know, he's a consummate scorer. He's a pro. He knows how to get it done. He's so polished at this juncture of his career, and he knows how to make people better as well. Like, his game is expanded to the point where you can't really take away all the weapons that he has. So now seeing him as a closer is no surprise, because he's been able to develop his game and his confidence for moments like that to make those big plays. But I couldn't be happier for him. And DeMar is a special player. I mean, we're seeing how good he can be. And I don't think the story's done yet. I think there's more to come from him. And he's in Chicago on a team that has a chance to do some good things this season. So it's a plus, and I'm happy for DeMar.
Leo, what was your reaction? Pretty crazy, eh?
Yeah, I mean, just like Sherm, that, you know, DeMar is playing at his speed. It's his game now. And, you know, arguably the best mid-range player in the score in the game. He's got tremendous footwork, but he did it with a couple of threes. He did it with something that people say he can't do. And he could do it. And I've always said, just do it enough to keep people honest. But it just shows the confidence that he has, you know, to take and make that shot. And he wants the ball. He wants the ball in those situations. And I think it's great to see. And, you know, there's something else about DeMar that people just don't understand. This guy's missed very few games in his career, right? He's a durable guy. He's going to play every single game. He may not have the 30 every game, but he's going to play every single game. And you look around this league, how many guys are getting big money, that you don't know when they're going to play. And you don't know how many games they're going to play for you. But you know one thing, you signed DeMar DeRozan, the guy's going to play lion's share of 82 games every season.
Yeah, that's a great point, Leo. And Jack, this is his 13th year in the NBA. Are you surprised at all that he's having this kind of season? He's 5th in the league in scoring too.
Not at all. I mean, he's a gym rat. The guy's a dedicated professional athlete who loves the game. And I thought Sherman and Leo hit the nail on the head with regard to him. And I tell you what, you got to give the management and coaching staff of Chicago a lot of credit for having the wisdom to bring him in. You know, again, there's a lot of noise out there that You know, the types of shots he takes and all that. But you know what? It's still I just know, and you guys know this better than anybody. You know, you get out in the schoolyard in the summer and you say, okay, we're going to play, choose sides. I want DeMar DeRozan on my team. You know, there's no charts, there's no statistics, there's no computers. I just want a guy who's a baller who's going to help me win. And DeMar DeRozan has that makeup. He's that kind of guy. And I think when it's all said and done, Chicago could not get out of its own way. They were your classic permanent potential team with all these guys that were just teasers. DeMar has a proven professional resume. And to bring a guy like that in makes the Zach LaVine and a Vucevic and guys like that maybe people think, oh, they're all this and they're all that. They haven't gotten it done. And now you put a guy like DeMar on that team, everyone's able to kind of become maybe the pro that they should be and be in the role that they should be. That was a great, great pickup. And I look at DeMar DeRozan, I look at Patty Mills. Those are two of probably the best pickups in the NBA this year. And guess where they both came from? San Antonio.
And I just want to add this to what you guys said. DeMar came into the league at a time when it was going to the three-point shot. The league was championing the three-point shot, corner threes, and at the bucket. And DeMar stayed true to who he was. He made mid-range buckets, and he made a career out of it, and he's one of the best in the game. So you also tip your hat to a guy who says, no. You all can work on the three-point shot and trust it. I know what I can do, and I'm going to be great at it. And now it's winning for him. You just have a lot of respect for a guy who's true to the constitution of how he feels he should play the game.
Can I just
Go ahead, Jack.
Quick? One of my all-time favorite players is Bernard King. And, you know,
Mid-range assassin.
DeMar's got a lot of Bernard King in him. And I tell you what, a guy that replaced him here in Toronto, Kawhi Leonard, had a lot of that mid-range stuff too. And people get too caught up in all this craziness, Leo. And Leo, the guy's just a winner. He's a really good player.
Yeah, and again, go back to, you know, staying in your game. That what does San Antonio do? 3-point shooters, shoot threes. Mid-range guys take their shots. And Pop doesn't say, hey, DeMar, shoot threes, shoot three. He says, play your game, right? Yeah, when Patty Mills or Patty, you shoot threes. You do. Everybody had their role, and Pop didn't force people out of their role. So I think that helped DeMar get to this point where it's okay to be me. It's okay to play that kind of game because I can be the best at it.
And Jack, you mentioned playground. Who are you picking? I'm picking Sherm. Sorry, Leo. You're just past your prime, man. I apologize.
It's all right. Hey, you can pick anybody you want. I'm still kicking your.
And Jack, you're the coach. You're the coach.
Well.
All right. I appreciate you guys doing this. Next game for the Raptors, Tuesday night against the San Antonio Spurs. Tip-off goes at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.